Hello, for my Art 200 project, I will be discussing the mason work behind Yosemite's granite trails. Earlier this year, before this class started, I was hiking the Yosemite Upper Falls Trail, and it occurred to me that the work behind this architecture is incredible and ingenuitive. Millions of people hike the steep granite trails escaping Yosemite Valley every year. Hand-placed by inspired masons, each stone is taken from the naturally abundant granite supply within Yosemite to provide lasting trails for hundreds of years. Many who enjoy hiking these trails overlook the handcrafted architectural work below their feet. Without analyzing the functional work, one could argue that hiking trails are not an art form when they truly are. If hikers are given the opportunity to become aware of this historic architectural design, then they can observe and appreciate an unexpected but grand art experience. Granite trails in Yosemite National Park are comprised of staircases, walls, drainages, and flat and sloping paths that are created by stacking and fixing together granite pieces into a geometric and somewhat rectangular pattern. The work can have reductive and biomorphic qualities. The granite and sand medium can be defined as rough or smooth and polished by natural forces. Granite can be a mix of gray, black, and white hues, creating a naturalistic palette with contrasting dark and light values, depending on the individual rock. The staircases and paths are angular and represent naturalistic qualities similar to a river or creek bed. The lines between rocks create a meandering pattern. The design and contour can overlap space depending on the sculptural design. In the book Park and Recreation Structures, the author Albert H. Good elaborates the architectural design in national and state parks across the United States. He recognizes the importance of certain qualities that create a functional and visually appealing trail. Many attributes define a trail, including steps, footbridges, stepping stones, safety and retaining walls, rock bars, or culverts, and in some cases, resting stations and trail side benches. They can be constructed out of wood or stone. Yosemite National Park uses granite for their trails, bridges, and all forms of walls to create a natural appeal so it will blend in with the environment. The purpose of this skilled and meticulous work is to prevent erosion, decrease workload, protection, safe crossing among rivers and streams, while maintaining natural flow and keeping hikers in dedicated areas to minimize harmful impacts to the ecosystem. The main goal when constructing in parks is to preserve the natural lands. No mortar should be evident. Greater naturalness will result in dry construction. In terms of trail construction, the theme of the art is to work with local mediums and form ideas around natural elements, and eliminate concrete or mortar, or using little outside resources as possible. Also, by keeping hikers to a confined area, animals and other wildlife have a better chance of thriving in its natural environment. Many of the trails in Yosemite were originally Native American trails and were expanded by the Mann brothers in 1855. The major trail systems that we are familiar with today were constructed around 1870 and were the main thoroughfare into Yosemite Valley. Now they are for recreational purposes and for people who will want to enjoy the outdoors. The 4-mile trail to Glacier Point, the snow trail going up towards the northwest side of Tenaya Canyon, the Mist Trail leading up the Vernal Nevada Falls and eventually Half Dome, Upper Yosemite Falls Trail, and the Eagle Peak Trail were among some of the first. The first liable way to reach the top of Vernal Falls was with ladders, then later wood steps. Unfortunately, in present day, there is elaborate granite steps. As one of my comparative works, I have chosen the Incas fortification, Machu Picchu, which is located in Peru near the city of Cusco. Modern-day research states that this structure was constructed for the first Inca emperor Pachacuti and his family to host special events including feasts and religious ceremonies. The establishment was articulately engineered to be earthquake resistant and to irrigate water by designing channels to drain water. Comparatively, trails must be constructed with culverts or drainages to eliminate erosion. Many of the Inca ideas may have been the model for modern-day stone masonry. To add, there are other great granite masonry accomplishments in and around Cusco, including extended road systems and monoliths. Many stone buildings use mortar, cement, or other adhesives to bond pieces together. During this period, polygonal stone blocks were matched together without mortar. This concept correlates with the similar construction method of Yosemite's trail system by using dry stack to establish sturdy trails. Machu Picchu's design and Yosemite's masons are similar in the idea that they both use local resources and granite as their mediums. Robert Smithson's work, Spiral Jetty, resonates well with my topic because he also uses natural mediums such as rock, water, and other naturally present forms. A direct quote from our text, Exploring Art: earthwork can be defined as follows: large-scale environmental pieces in which the earth is an important component. Earthwork artists not only use natural materials but also are responsive to their sites. The monumental scale of their work is an attribute of both ancient and modern art. Similarly to construction of trails, man-made machines and many workers were necessary to create this immense work. The use of natural elements such as black basalt rocks creates a rigid and uneven texture, which represents the instability of creating work within nature. The perfection of the curve of the jetty may symbolize a vortex into another realm. To bring us back to reality, the rock and salt crystal creation can be viewed and used as a trail, as many pictures are shown with people walking on the massive work. To move away from architecture, another comparative work is Ansel Adams' Clearing Winter's Storm and Vernal Falls. Adams was, and still is, famous for his landscapes in black and white photography. He is known for his articulate eye in capturing rare phenomenon in nature. Adams has established through his photography that the grandeur of mountains, flora, and many other depictions of nature can very much correspond into an artwork. In Clearing Winter's Storm, he captures dark and light hues. The contrast of white snow and clouds creates an illuminating effect. The natural flowing lines create curves, which establish an opening and inviting effect. Adams was known to raise awareness about protecting the environment with his photography. Similarly, creating functional trails preserves the entirety of the wilderness by limiting the impacting footsteps to a single area. To conclude, art can be classified as paintings, buildings, and even extensive trail systems. Granite trail works can be defined as an earthwork. Similar to Smithson's Spiral Jetty, it is easy for many to overlook the fabulous qualities of stone masonry when it is not displayed in a museum. As the definition of art extends with time, the acceptance of defining non-status quo works, both new and old, is becoming more common.